All right, so failed to listen. Joey, Retro, you guys can introduce yourselves.
Um, Good afternoon, everybody. Joe Luciano. Let's just get this going, yeah.
Yeah, for real. Let's just get this going. The Divide, episode 4. Retro, are you there? Do we have sound coming from you?
I hope so. I think we do.
Okay, so you are joining the podcast Divide, episode 4. Are you excited? Are you pumped up?
Okay.
Okay, I'll
I
take
didn't even know.
that.
I didn't even know you had 3 previous episodes. I have missed
Yeah, no, nobody
stuff.
does. Nobody does. It's all good.
Okay.
So, it's good to have you guys here. It's been a while. I'm about 4 or 5 days late with this podcast, but I've been bouncing off walls. Those that I thought were going to be in the podcast are also kind of bouncing off walls, and that's okay as long as we can try and find a way to make this work. Before I mention a couple of the topics that I have, is there anything that you guys feel some interesting news that we should discuss at all? Like something that maybe I haven't heard about yet and I might have an opinion on?
Mm, I don't know. The last thing I heard that was interesting to me anyway was the GameStop rental program, but I think we covered that in the previous topics.
We
So
did cover that. We did
yeah,
cover
I
that.
think on Bear's show we talked about it. I haven't got a chance to look through anything. Like I just got up and got on this today, so I don't know what's going on in the world right now. They could be, you know what I mean? That's my fault, but
Retro, you got anything that you feel like we should touch on? Like anything at all?
Well, unless there's a pair of tits I can touch on, I'm pretty much. I'll go with the flow. How about
well,
Okay.
that?
tits are
So
wonderful.
yeah, I love tits, but this is not the tits episode 4. This is the Divide Gaming podcast episode 4. Um,
Well,
so
wasn't there going to be a virtual breast controller for VR
I think so. I remember hearing something about that,
just
but
to tie it into gaming? That way we don't look like complete fucking pervs. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Excuse
If I
my
didn't, if I
language.
didn't, if people didn't know any better, they'd be like, "Man, look at these degenerate scum." But
Dude,
anyway,
you're lucky. You're lucky you're not on like when I haven't done my podcast in about a week, but you're lucky you're not on that one, man. That is like a full degenerate, like I Howard Stern that shit big time. It's wonderful. I love it.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen a couple of those, so like it's not always just gaming in there. So that's a little bit different. I want to try and keep this about gaming, or at
Yeah.
least at the very least, tech PC discussions of some kind. So probably the main topic, the one that I would imagine we'll spend the most time on is I just want to get the take that you guys have on PlayStation exclusives being able to be played without a PlayStation, because at least for me, that's what matters. It's not about, oh, it's streaming, oh, it's 30 FPS or 60 FPS, but only 720p. Like none of that stuff is like relevant to me. It's just the simple fact that you can play some of these games, some of these once exclusives without a PlayStation. So that's what's important to me, and that's what I'm looking at. And I'm wondering if you guys feel the same way, or if you feel just a little bit differently or a lot differently. How do you feel? Is it a good move for Sony to allow those games to be played without a PlayStation? And I guess my thing is also too, and I mentioned this in one or two of my videos. If you're going to do this, if you're going to make it so I don't need a PlayStation device at all, I don't even need a Vita to do this. So if you're going to make it so I don't need that, why not just port the games? Whether it's on Steam or Origin, or maybe you come up with your, like, you can lock them down to your own game client, your own service. I do not care. But like, if you're going to make it so I don't need a PlayStation already, why not just go ahead and have your own service? You know what I mean? Because you've already made them no longer exclusive. So just port the games. Like that's,
Mm.
I mean, it just makes sense. To me, it makes sense. And some of those games, let's be honest, some of those games, while they're no longer exclusive, they are kind of old. So I really don't even see the harm anymore in having games like, the Uncharted collection or The Last of Us or God of War 3 and some of those older titles, even from, PS2 that got remastered or whatever for PS3 or PS4. Like, why not just go ahead and have those come over, port them over? I mean, people aren't buying PlayStations for those games any longer. I mean, why not, right? Why the hell not? What do you guys think? I mean, go ahead. I mean, let me know.
I'll Retro, if you want to go first, since you're
I was just gonna say Joey can go first.
I mean,
all right.
I'm trying to be polite. You are technically the guest, so if you want me to go.
Fuck no, man. I'm like part of the furniture on YouTube. I don't.
No.
I'm too old, man, to go first. you
I'll
go first.
go first. I'll take the newbie lead then. All right.
Okay.
All right. Like I stated, I did a video about this, and I'm gonna try to be as concise as possible. Right. You asked a lot of what ifs and a lot of things, so I'm gonna try to address as many as you came out with. The fact that you no longer need a PlayStation device to play them on basically negates the whole PlayStation exclusive principle. Yes. So whatever titles PlayStation chooses to put on this service that you can access from a non-PlayStation device, any other platform, now means, as far as PlayStation 4 exclusives go, that PlayStation 4 title is no longer exclusive. You can try to dance around it, damage control it all you want. There are people that are saying that you can't adjust the settings, you can't mod, it's not native to the hardware. You have to, it's being streamed from Sony. There's actually people that have tried to say that because it's streaming from the Sony Gaikai servers, that makes it still Sony proprietary. And you can see their argument, but really, like, knock it off. Like, come on. Just accept the facts and move forward, right? Now, in terms of why they won't port it over, because they'll lose money that way. You have to understand that they invested however much money into this Gaikai service, and they need to show some kind of return. And if there's, as long as they keep the titles on viable on the stream, then they could charge you however much they want to charge you, and they're still controlling the amount of income. Once the stuff goes on Steam or any other storefront, the storefronts can then like negotiate, and the storefronts got to get a piece of it, and all these other things that have to, different business deals that have to get through before anybody gets money. Through keeping it on the streaming service, it's 100% Sony, unless they have to pay some kind of licensing fee to have their app on Windows. That's the only other thing I could think about in that regard. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't see the PC gaming community. Retro, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I know that streaming is not something that's big in the PC gaming community. I don't see them running out trying to kill each other to stream these games, pay $20 a month just to play Uncharted. And then here's the flip side of that, right? For all the fanboys that bleed blue and want to kill themselves over Sony stuff, if you love these games so much and you want your platform to succeed, wouldn't you want the software in as many hands as possible? Because there's a chance that someone playing this on PC, if he's so inclined to pay the entry fee, decides that, this is so good, I might want to own it natively and see how that works, or be inclined to check out Sony's other software and see what else they have to offer. Like, I don't see how options in the gaming community is a bad thing. You know what I mean? So pretty much that's my whole take on that.
Yeah.
Retro Dread. Welcome, Dread, by the way. You're, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes late at best.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Good morning, Diva.
What's up, guys?
Made your entrance as always.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, go ahead, Retro. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, Joey, first, I'm getting major Ralph Macchio's flashbacks with your accent. It's so fucking cool, man. Alrighty, kid. I love it, dude. No, that's awesome. Look, the thing is, though, that I fucking love options. I know fucking Ravitch, the Cucumber Ravis like said ages ago that he hated having all these apps on PC. He hated having an Origin app and a Uplay app and stuff like that. Sure, if you're a big gamer, yeah, okay, you start ending up with a whole bunch of storefronts loading up when your PC boots up or whatnot. But I think that I think it's good, but I think Sony they're testing the waters here. EA Access was proved incredibly successful, right? When a lot of people probably thought, is this going to really work? But it's worked. Now Microsoft have Microsoft Game Pass or Xbox Game Pass, which is basically going to be, for all intents and purposes, a carbon copy of EA Access, which again is great. It's options. Do you either want to buy our game in full, or do you want to subscribe and basically just play or whatever you want to do with your subscription with those games that you have on offer? Choice, which is the ultimate goal here. If Sony decide, like the thing is though, that Sony could still control every sale, every PlayStation sale through an app on Windows, I don't think they'd need to pay Microsoft or anything like that, man, because Windows, it's an open platform anyway. Like PC gaming is an open platform anyway. So I'm pretty sure that anyone that makes anything that works on PC don't have to give Microsoft a little bit of money for it. So Sony could easily put, and they will. I mean, PlayStation Now exists, not in this country, but PlayStation Now exists on PC, right? So you can stream, through an app on your PC, these games on your PC, wherever the fuck you are, which is cool. But at the same time, they're sort of they're in the foreplay part of their game, right? They need to really commit, and I think that giving an option for people to be able to download their games, and I think I talked about this somewhere else, I can't remember, but they could even have their own OS of sorts, right? Anyone that's used Steam has big picture mode where you can launch it and have that console-like experience. Now, imagine for a second that in this instance, Sony could have, okay, well, we want you to use a specific UI. If you're going to use PlayStation games and download them on the fucking console, you're going to run them through our UI. You're going to run them in a certain screen mode or whatever. So they could do that. Like, there's a lot of options that they could do. Streaming, or download, or even have like a subscription service which allows you to download and play whatever you want, or stream, there's lots of choice. And that's the thing here is choice. Hardware is become archaic, like people clinging to CDs and, the old LPs and stuff. It's becoming an archaic format because digital, I fucking love digital media, man. It's so easy. It's so convenient. It doesn't matter where you are. You can access this shit all the time, and that's what's amazing. And unless you're a fanboy, as a fanboy, you're going to be like, oh my God, we're going to lose our identity, and it's going to be, I don't know exactly what they worry about, but going from my previous history as a Sony pigeon, I would say that it comes down to the fact that people get really scared that their favorite company is somehow going to maybe go the way of Sega, where all of a sudden, if they don't dominate or they're not doing well in a hardware perspective, does that mean all of a sudden that, that they're not, that they can't make games anymore? Sony would still own the studios. Sony would still own Naughty Dog and Santa Monica Studios and all these other ones. They could put their platform software anywhere, like any platform available. They could stick their games on, and it would sell like fucking hotcakes. They'd make a fortune, right? It's the fanboys that they have this mentality of like, oh my God, Now I've seen comments, no shit. Oh, Sony's losing its identity. It's like, no, they're not. It's games cost shitloads of money, right? And people don't want to be screwed over with online subscription fees anymore, and I think maybe things like Xbox Game Pass and EA Access are going in a direction, hopefully, that is going to give people a lot more bang for their buck. And I think it's good. I think it's really good.
Dread, you gotta take on Sony losing some of its own exclusives to other platforms?
Yeah. I mean, like everyone's saying, I think it's a good thing. It's definitely a good thing. It's definitely going to bring them in more money. Just like how when Microsoft bought over the games to the Xbox Live service on PC, it's more software sold and everything like that. I think the case comes from the whole console standpoint when we all know that exclusives are a big deal. Exclusives are probably the main reason why any of us would pick up a console, and that's a huge thing. So they see that as a losing point where it's like, okay, cool, there's no more exclusives, so what the hell is going to draw me to pick this console up now? Like everyone's going to go to PC, consoles are going to die out. So that's the bigger picture of why I think they would look at it as a threat more than anything else, as a success or, as a good thing. And also, it's just, I don't think everybody wants services. I don't think everyone wants their whole thing as a service. Like, um, what I'm saying? Like, physical media is definitely something that is dying out, and that they tell us it's supposed to change, it's supposed to be that way, which is what they want, by the way. I don't necessarily think that it has to actually happen if we don't want it to, which is, Joey's heard me make this argument many a times before, that, the water companies tell you, like, the reason why we think we need like 8 cups of water a day is not because that's actually true. That's because the water companies put that out there. So everyone thinks that we need to drink a certain amount of water a day, and we really don't. You drink when you're thirsty. So that's just this big thing that's around, and that's the way they want it. They want it to have a service. They want you to be locked in. They don't want you to have a used market and everything else like that, which is cool. But yeah, I think that's a very viable option for people. Like, not everyone has money to buy all these games and things like that. And the used game market on the console side of things is for some people an option. GameFly is an option for them. Being able to give their friends their used copy or buy a used copy is an option for people. And getting rid of physical media is getting rid of options also, Yeah, but I mean, I don't see it as a bad thing. I don't think it's going to take off if they attack it the same way how they've done now, because look what happened to it now. It's like nobody really cared about it. Streaming, I don't think, is the way that PC players or most general players don't want to play that way. So I don't know. I don't know what it's going to do. I hope that they change it. I hope that they're adding more features to it or doing something with it. They did say they're going to restructure it. Hopefully, we hear more about that at E3. But yeah, all in all, not too bad, man. And we have to see what games they're going to put on there, how they're going to deal with it. Is it going to be like the vault where they put things in and take things out, which will most likely be like that. But yeah, it's a good thing. It's going to be used as a friggin' bullet point or as ammunition for certain people. But yeah, all in all, it's a good thing.
Why is it that, just real quick, and I have a question for Joey too. Maybe I misunderstood some of his take on that, but like, why is it that some in the Sony fan base refer to Sony's exclusives as their exclusives? They'll say, why does the PC community want our exclusives? You guys have your own exclusives. You guys have the most exclusives out of all of the consoles combined. Why do you want our exclusives? Why do you think it is that they have this desire to refer to those games as their exclusives as opposed to their master Sony? Like, what drives that? Why do they think that they're their games?
But PC has no games, don't you know that? I mean, JTech said it. PC has no games. We have no games too. We must have Sony games, otherwise we are irrelevant, right?
Yeah, but the problem is the people saying that don't understand that there's nothing wrong with wanting more games. Like, I want all of the Xbox games. I want all of the Nintendo games. I'll take even some of the mobile games. I'll take the PlayStation games. There's nothing wrong with having more options available to you. Like, no, there is, right? Like, yeah, go ahead, Joey.
Is that the English? Is that the question you wanted me to address as well?
No. You were saying that it probably wouldn't be the greatest idea to just go ahead and port some of those games over. And my thing was,
I look at it from a business money standpoint for what they invested in Gaikai.
But some of those older games, though, like
they would still lose money on it. Where they have to look at it. I feel this is what I did not go and get an MBA, And unlike most of the majority of YouTubers, I did not get my YouTube business degree. Meaning that when I opened up my channel, I didn't automatically understand how businesses work. But I'm just trying to make a logical, I don't want to say assumption. Assumption is the wrong word, but I look at it like where businesses are in the business to make money. And if they spent however much money on this service, even if they port their own exclusives over, they're closing the door on potential revenue. Yes, they're opening the door on some other type of revenue, but it's more revenue that they have to break down. Unless, like Retro said, it's their own storefront. But then now the game is, if it's going to be native on somebody's hardware, it's that we don't know if they want to do that. Just them putting them on the platform itself has, is like, oh my God, what are they doing, right? And in the fanboy spectrum of things, when you root for your team, when I root for the Giants, I'm prone of being like, damn, we had a bad week this week. You know what I mean? I understand how it works when it comes to teams. I don't know why. Like, I understand. I don't know how it translates to plastic. And I'm not trying to say plastic to like push it aside, but like, they're gaming consoles. And so in these comment sections, in these console wars on the crumb side of YouTube, your exclusives and your platforms, they turn into your identity. It's what you identify with. These people are maladjusted. They need something to believe in. They want to reach and hold on to something that makes them unique and special. And so they hold on to these games. And when you take the things that make them unique and special away from them, they don't know how to act, because they have to retreat further into their bubble, into themselves, because they don't have something that helps them step out into the spotlight. And so that can be the defense mechanism that you see in a lot of these communities, in almost any walk in life. There's maladjusted individuals everywhere, and it's the people that are maladjusted socially who can't conform and be out in the real world and interact with everybody, come to the virtual world and have the biggest voice, because there's that buffer between them and everybody else. So nobody gets to see just how sawed off they really are. You know what I mean? And that's my take on the fanboy perspective on why they defend shit like that.
Yeah, it's also their thing, I guess, is because they actually have ties to the company. Like on PC, where there's no real tie, there's no real overlord or anybody like that. There's no company head over it. Like they don't really have, like, you wouldn't say that it's like their game because they don't really have ties to a Steam or things like that. Maybe Valve does, but yeah, for the most part, like, the console guys could say that pretty much. I'm thinking because they actually, Sony has development studios, so they consider it to be their IP, their developers. So that's why they're like, we're losing our games, and I think it's.
They know these people by first and last name. They know some of their kids. They identify. They look at these developers and like Shuhei as like figureheads amongst. Not to cut you off, sir. I apologize, but like figureheads, like that they're in service to. Or did you see what Shuhei said today? Did you see what Daddy Phil said today?
It's done on all fronts, because you even look at Valve, even look at freaking
Lord Gaben.
You know what I'm saying? It's done across the board. It's the console guys say it a lot more for sure, but yeah, it's done across the board.
It's an identity thing. I really truly believe.
An identity thing.
Yeah, they want to identify with something that's successful. They want to identify with something that's positive.
So what you're telling me is there's one of two things. Then you're either dealing with a bunch of kids that are like 17 or younger that are pretending to be in their 20s and early 30s, or you're dealing with a lot of people in their mid 20s, early 30s that are very mentally unstable people. That's what you're telling me?
I think here's the thing you got to remember though too. Like, we got to remember, not everyone has an exciting life, and video games are a great form of entertainment that people identify with that could be the highlight of their fucking day. They don't have friends. They don't have other things going on in their lives that are, you know what I'm saying? This is the Super Bowl for them. This is the highlight of their goddamn day. So
but should it be like that? Like that's not my fault. That's not your fault. That's not Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo's fault. Like you maybe need to make your life just slightly more exciting outside of video games. You know what I mean? Like
but there's fanatics and zealots in every walk in life. You know what I mean? Like look at let's not get it twisted. From September to January, on Sundays, I'm a stark raving lunatic. And like my attitude will be affected on that day by how my team performs on the field that day. Right? So like that is as far as I'm willing to go with it though, right? So there are people that, like Dredd said, they had nothing else. They have nothing. And Sony might mean something to them. Microsoft might mean, look at the Nintendo. Look at the nostalgia with Nintendo. The nostalgia and will make a game that has frame dips and obvious hiccups a 10 out of 10. So there's something that these people identify with. It becomes no longer something that's separate for them, but something that's a part of them. And however maladjusted, however old they are, it's what it is. And it shouldn't be that way at all. Like I submit to you that there is a sun. There are trees outside. There are things you can do outside. There are so many things. There's women, if you are so inclined to go that way, if you're a young, there's so many things you can do. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing about it. I think it affects all of us. I think we all feel that way. It's just some know how to deal with it at the end of the day and be like, that was a good game and walk away. And then some people are going to chase the developers. They're going to want to know what the developers are doing. And can I add them on Twitter? And can I, like, you know what I'm saying? We just know how to deal with it because we have other things going on. Like,
that's why I did say that, like maladjusted. Like, Retro, I'm sorry, man. Do you ever take anything on this?
No, that's all right. It's actually kind of nice not to do all the talking.
You let me talk. I'll talk all. You just sit there, got some popcorn. You'll be.
I got to ask you before I say, you're Italian, brother, yeah?
No, I'm actually Rican and Trinidadian.
Are you?
But I'm from New York, so I'm Brooklyn.
That's what throws me then. It's the accent. The accent's throwing me. Right, I'm waiting for Joe Pesci to come out from somewhere. But anyway,
forget about it. No doubt.
Forget about it. Huh? What are you talking about? No. Look. Oh fuck. I don't know. I'm a consumerist. I think. You know. I think I've come to the realization, even when I was doing all the Sony stuff, that I still try to keep it on point. You know, like you can troll and you can dig and say my game looks better than your game, blah blah blah. But if you just know you're just screwing with people, you know, you're just mucking around, you're putting the bamboo under the fingernails, then it's all right, you know, because it's like any sort of team versus team thing. You're gonna give shit to the other team. But some people take it too far. Whereas when I did all my Sony stuff last generation, I came from a consumer point of view. You know, Microsoft's charging for an online, they're doing this, they're doing that. And I also had other companies that I was having a go at as well, because I could see through the bullshit. And that's the problem with gamers now, is that they're so invested in, and quite frankly, it's like a nostalgia tsunami. Like, you know, people just get so worked up and they just build this huge wave of like empathy towards their favorite platform that they just want to just fucking steamroll everyone. They just want to go everywhere and just show everyone, oh, well, this is why I love it, blah, blah, blah. I can't die. It's got to be the best, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is, though, is that, you know, I look at it from a consumer point of view. When I came back to PC gaming, it was fantastic because I was able to unshackle myself from worrying about what's Microsoft doing, what's Sony doing. You know, is Sony going to come back and win this generation? I don't give a shit anymore, right? What I care about is making sure, and it could be my age, I don't know, but I care about the fact that my favorite hobby seems to just have so much shit gotten away with, you know. And people don't care because they come back to that whole, oh, well, I only care about the games. That's all I care about, right? So you've got fanboys per platform, and then you've got the fucking neutrals that sit in the middle going, I don't care, I have everything, I'm just a gamer, I don't give a shit if the rhinoceros pokes me in the bum with his horn, you know, over an online feed, because I don't care anymore, because all I care about is playing the latest and greatest game. I've said this for a while, gamers, no offense, are crack addicts, right? By and large, a lot of them are crack addicts. You know, they'll sit there and they'll go, EA's crap. Look at what they're doing to Mass Effect Andromeda. What a shit developer. What a shit company. Oh, they made a new game. I better check that out and buy it.
Yeah, go out and buy it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Whereas, like, I like EA games. I like Ubisoft games. So I'm not in a position to sit back and go, well, I'm not going to chastise a game just because it's got shitty animations. I don't really give a fudge about that, right? I don't care. But if they were trying to actually screw over the dollar of the gamer, then I have a problem, you know. And look at what we have now. We started off with like horse armor, on disc DLC, season passes, episodic content, you know. I mean, and that's where I love PC gaming communities, because PC gamers don't take shit, right? And it's something that I wish console guys wouldn't do, but they don't. When Xbox One came out, and they literally, like, the whole planet just stopped spinning on its axis. And then Sony's like, haha, let's make fun of him, and they have the little shake hands with Shugo, whatever the fuck his name is, right? You know, look, we can trade our games, by the way, we're charging for an online fee. You know, like, no one batted a fucking eye about that. Everyone's like too much hating on Microsoft. And I was doing it too. Now, that's the thing that's a lot of gamers don't realize, is that, you know, I think people have to be honest with themselves and go, yeah, I was a fucking moron. Yeah, that was crap. I just supported this bad practice, or I didn't speak up enough. And it's hard when you're a consumerist, because you're trying to get gamers to see, look, I'm not saying you can't enjoy this shit. I don't care if people game on whatever they want. But for fuck's sake, pull the flag waving out of your ass and just take a step back and go, okay, am I supporting something that eventually down the track is going to bite me in the ass? You know, I said this a few weeks ago, that wouldn't it be cool, man, if fucking Microsoft came out at E3 and said, by the way, we're not charging for Xbox Live online play anymore. Now, wouldn't that, it would be the biggest megaton in gaming history in the last 10 to 15 years, because they were the ones that pioneered that shit. Imagine that they have decided to actually really put the consumer first and go, well, how come PC gamers don't get charged, right? I've got over 5,000 games on Steam, and not a single one of them have a subscription fee. Not a single one. I can play every one of those games with an online function for free. How is it that PC gamers can get away with it, but console gamers just sit there and go, oh, well, we don't have a choice? You know, like, that's the shit that bugs me. That fanboyism, that dedication to defensive bad practices is going to end up screwing shit up more, you know, down the track. I try and look at the long game. Not many gamers do. Icy does, I know for sure. I don't know about you guys, because I've only just met you guys, but I know Icy does. He's always had that perspective of looking just beyond now. What's happening down the road? How's this going to affect down the road? And I think that's, if you're real passionate about this hobby, I think that you kind of have to have a little bit of that as well, you know.
I wanted to say, and I don't know why it is. Maybe you guys have an idea, but the console-only gamer has allowed themselves to get owned, and not speak up about some of the poor business practices. Whereas I don't know what it is, but the PC gamers, if they're seeing some shady shit, more often than not, something gets done about that. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why that happens. I guess there's just not enough gamers in the console-only space to care about those sort of things. I don't know why that happens again, but it is pretty interesting. Like, it's like they don't care about their own money. They don't care about getting screwed over. And you know, some of these people, it's not like they're making like, you know, $25 an hour or $150K a year. So it's not like they just got money to blow. Like, some of these guys, like, they do live paycheck to paycheck, and they still fanboy the fuck out for their favorite company. And it's just interesting to me. Like, speak up, say something, do something, anything.
Here's my thing about it. Like, I think a lot of the people will try to make the PC stance like, oh, when everyone sticks together and they do that. And it's like, yeah, that's cool that the PC community does that, but it's more so on the factor of like them trying to save money than it is as a noble, we're trying to save gaming type of situation. Like, the only reason why they're like, we're not going to get screwed over is because they care about their pockets. It's not a noble stance against the big corporate, like, it doesn't really come across like that. And once again, these are two different platforms that we're talking about. Consoles have to deal with things differently than PC has to deal with things. Like, for instance, on Steam, right? Valve allows you to put their game on their service, and they take a 30% cut from the sale. So that's more money going into their pockets. So things like the service itself, they could give that to you for free. Whereas to Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, they're only taking 7% of every game sold. So they're making a lot less money, and the service has to be given from somewhere. We've seen it with the PlayStation 3 when it came out. The service came out, they give you free online, and they lost a lot of fucking money. That was one of the components of the reasons why they lost a lot of money. They couldn't have updates regularly like Xbox did, because Microsoft, while you were paying for the service, yes, and while they were giving you the service and everything, they also had money incoming to upgrade the service, have better security, have more things going for them. And now you look at this generation where they are charging for it, but they are making a lot more pushes. There are a lot more updates. Things that we asked for get done. They just did a 4.5 or 4 point whatever upgrade that gives us like the PlayStation 4 is at a point right now where there's not too much that you can actually ask or really want for, other than like maybe name changing or something like that. And that's done because they could get the money in. But they are two different platforms. They're two different mediums, and they can't be you can't be like, well, they're taking it and we don't have to take it here. But like, I understand that, but they're going at it a very different way. And we've seen multiple consoles come into this space, the arena, and die out. It's not easy to make a platform, a console that is successful and stays around for a long time. Like, let's be honest, the only reason why Microsoft is still here is because they have the money, they have the capital, they have the bank behind them. If it wasn't for the money and everything else behind them, they would have been gone already, and then it would have been just back down to Nintendo and Sony. You know what I'm saying? We've seen Sega, we've seen Atari, all these other companies. So that space is different. It needs to be treated differently. And it's not really somebody, I think, taking something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's they're looking at it differently.
Yeah, that I will agree with. Where it's not like Icy, you failed. Forgive me, sir.
No, you guys know. Just Icy failed. It is what it is. It's gonna happen.
Strawberry milk man, baby. You know you're always that to me.
Oh, sorry, sunshine. But it's like when you say why do they take it, like you said, the console only gamer. If it's a console only gamer, you have to look at it this way too. We are enlightened, we are enthusiasts, we know more than Joe Schmo that runs into GameStop, right? Now
I'll agree with that. All right,
so yeah, we see how these things are done. We see we can look at something that's announced and step back and go, this and this more than likely happened behind the scenes to make this work, right? They don't care. And neither a console only gamer is never going to care because he's already bought into that platform. That's the only platform he knows. You know what I mean? So it's like he associates gaming on Sony, Microsoft, and now Nintendo as if you want to play online, you need to pay a fee. And if he has done the research, and so, oh, well, why do they charge? Well, the corporate rhetoric that they're given is, well, we charge to bring you services like Netflix or Hulu or this and that. And albeit some of those things are true, but more than 2 or 3 sentences is enough to satiate that person's curiosity. And they're fine with it from there on, and they'll move forward. It's when now you come to PC and you see, like when I finally got my rig in early 2015, and you see how things work. There, I mean, yes, Dread is right. You have to, when it comes to the online thing, there are certain things you can't apply one to the other. They're apples and oranges. A lot of the only things that they have in common is that they play the same games. but they're two different fan bases. The PC fan base, where, okay, if y'all love games so much and y'all want to support these developers so much, why do you shop at gray sites? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not doing it for the culture at that point. You're doing it for yourself. Because the dev is getting none of that money. That code was probably bought with rubles, with dollars that were transformed into rubles off a credit card and then sold back to you. And that dude that sold it to you made about $30 or $40, and the dev saw it. None of that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, I get that PC is a viable playing space, and it is. It has the most options, and it's freeing, and it's amazing when it works, and it works for you. But at the end of the day, it's about the games, bro. And certain things have to be, for this console player to play this game until the medium changes or the industry changes the status quo. These are the things, the hoops that they're going to have to jump through. Do I want to go to my console brethren and be like, hey, paying for online sucks? Yeah, I do. But you know what? I pay for 3 services now. And I play for free on PC. So who am I to judge, right? And you know, and they do stand up, failed, because when Microsoft wanted to do the DRM thing, they had a fit. When Kojima was trying to charge $40 for Ground Zeroes, they had a fit. And just it's just that they're willing to accept more than the PC gamer is. There's a different level of tolerance. You know
I'm
what
also
I mean?
glad that you brought up the whole YouTube thing too, because that's also another thing that we have to realize, that these consoles are closed platforms. So anything outside is going to be treated differently. YouTube costs them a licensing fee, where on PC it doesn't. So that's one of the merits that you give to PC and be like, I can play this and this and this, but that's not actually brought to you by Steam. That's just on PC because it's an open platform. Things like Netflix and all those little odd apps and everything, they have to pay licensing fees for that shit. So once again, it just shows the difference of the two platforms and why sometimes they can give it to you for free here and they might not be able to. And at the end of the day, I'm not saying that they're like just making it by. Yeah, they're making a shit ton of money off of the fucking service too, you know? But at the end of the day, I think they've come to a point now where it not only benefits them, you know what I'm saying? It also benefits the devs, and it also kind of benefits the consumer in a way. Like, the amount of games that you get, regardless of if you play them or not, that's a whole nother argument. The amount of games that you get every year for the service that you pay for is well beyond what you actually pay for it. Number 2, it actually helps out the developers. Anytime the game is downloaded, the developer also gets a cut of that money. So it's also helping out the industry. Like, it's not just this, okay, it's bad, and yes, you understand that like people don't want to pay, and that shouldn't be the part that's actually behind the paywall. The services should be behind the paywall. Hey, you can't send your friend the messages, you can't jump into a party chat. Those things should be behind, and then you could make the, you know, because I do understand that you're getting half of the game, essentially. That's what it feels like. You're missing out on this whole portion of the game. But honestly, would anybody, it makes more sense to just do the gaming thing than to have like messages and all these other features, because now everyone's on the same page and it's just like, okay, cool, we have the game thing and it's done, instead of it being like, well, you can't message or you can't play or you can't. It turns into a whole, like, I understand why they took the gaming route. But yeah, man, it's not really that terrible. Like, for instance, Rocket League, the developers have came out and said that was the best way that they could actually release the game, because every download led to a freaking sale and everyone knew about it and it spread like wildfire. So now the whole community has this game. I don't have to look at you and be like, yo, bro, do you have Rocket League? We all have Rocket League and we can all go play that shit together. And that's what actually made that game so huge out the gate, and everyone started to pay attention to it as this fun experience. I didn't have to ask anybody to come play with me. It was there. Everyone had it. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. I know it sucks. You know what I'm saying? I know they're making a shit ton of money off of it for sure. But I think there's two different ways to look at it.
So I just wanted to touch on whole support the developers and that whole mess. I don't disagree, but I think I do to an extent. I'm the consumer, so I have to look out for me first. So whether that means, you know, buying from Steam or buying directly from the developer's website, or I don't use a lot of gray sites or whatever the case may be, but I have to look out for me, right? Because the company doesn't give a shit about me, right? So if I supported Rockstar for years, I mean, I love Rockstar. They're arguably my favorite developer, and I bought every one of their games. And then I, you know, sometime later, a few years later, I've fallen on hard times. I can't afford to buy their new game. Hell, I can't even afford to, you know, pay my house payment or, you know, my insurance or my car. Are they going to come and buy me that game? Are they going to take care of my bills as well? No, they're not. So my thing is, I have to look out for me first. Like, they're not going to support me. So it's, you know what I mean? Like, I get the idea, but they don't give a shit about me. We just have this understanding that, hey, I give you money, you try to give me a quality game, and I think that's where the line is for me. I'm not going to play this game of support developers when they don't give a shit. It's just, for me, it's that simple. It's that simple. And
I'm saying support the developers as, like, if you don't buy their shit, they won't be here. I'm not necessarily saying that it's like, oh, you have to support them because, like, you know, we have to put food on their table and everything like that.
When
if games don't
Nintendo
sell,
approach, buy third party on Nintendo, that way it'll be, no, that's not what we're saying. We're saying in the initial purchase, that is the way to support the developer. Like, that initial transaction, right then and there, yeah. Like,
so what about console gamers that don't buy games brand new and they wait for trade-in? What about the console gamers that wait for the sales? I mean,
it's equally the same way. But I'll tell you. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, sorry. It's the thing. The thing is, though, that, like, you know, when you say like a gray site, all I see is basically. And look, I'm not. And keep in mind that, like, I think people confuse gray sites with, you know, people that are actually stealing keys and selling shit. You know, when I go to something like Green Man Gaming or whatnot, you know, these guys and other CD key websites, they're legitimately buying. What they're doing is they're actually buying the games, right? So what's happened is that money's already gone to the developer. They've already got their sale, right? So very much like when game shops buy games to sell in their store, they're buying the product. We're going, okay, we're going to buy 10, you know, as a basic number. You know, here's the money, right? Developers already get the money straight away. It's then on the shop, like the CDK website, to try and make that money back with a little bit of profit, depending on cost margins and all that sort of shit. If people steal keys and then sell them, then yeah, of course that's bad. But, you know, yeah, Steam takes a 30% cut, but people can sell their games on their own damn website. People could make a Facebook page and have a link that could sell their game. You literally, it's like going to a shopping center and having, you know, 10 different game stores, and all of them have different perks and all that sort of stuff. And at the end of the day, it is not my responsibility, nor my fault, or any gamer's fault, because these gaming companies can't fucking keep a lid on their expenses. If they want to spend billions of dollars on making games, right, that's not my fault, right? That's their fault. If you know, if I can buy a shitheel $2 game on Steam that ends up being a massive hit because they've got good gameplay and good graphics for what it is, then how is it that Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft and some of these bigger publishers like EA and Uplay or Ubisoft and all that, they spend millions of dollars, which already incites the AAA dumbass mentality, thinking that, oh, it's $1 squillion, it must be good. And then, you know, it's not my fault they're dumb. You know, the thing is, though, that, okay, as an example, all right, you know, just because they spend $60 million on, say, King Kong, the new King Kong, you know, how is it that movie prices, every single person apart from, say, a pensioner or like someone that has, like, I don't know what they call it in America, you know, like a disabled type thing, you know, so if you're, you know, if you've got a disability, you get like a discount, that sort of thing. You know, generally, like, they don't go, well, we spent $60 million on this motherfucker. right? So if you're sitting here, we're not going to charge you a movie fee ticket anymore. We're going to charge you per minute for sitting in that seat, right? That's not my problem, right? I mean, these people, that's their problem. They spent it, and I guarantee you, they spend a lot more money on on movie creation that you can't even fucking click a button to interact with the damn thing than they do with making video games. But gaming seems to have this weird, and it's no disrespect for you guys, but it's this weird defense. What do you call it? Icy, like
mechanism.
No, it's fuck. What am I? A stockholder. You know, all of a sudden, yeah, like no, not Stockholm syndrome. Like as an actual stockholder, like gamers.
Everybody feels ingrained to the company.
Yeah. Like everyone's going down this path of like, well, they need to make the money somehow. They can't leave the money on the table, and it's like, well, yeah, but you know. I don't want to be fucking in the ass.
They'll say that. They'll say, well, they need to make money somehow. They've got to get back these losses from, you know, things like charging for online and, you know, the number of exclusives and the millions of dollars that each one of those costs. But then at the same time, they'll say, well, they shouldn't put games on PC or mobile because then they'll lose hardware sales.
See, but that's an idiot's standpoint. Only an idiot would say that. Yeah. You know, and like, I'm not trying to be mean, but if you feel like your developer needs to make money or your company needs to make money, but then you want to cut off a direct avenue to revenue, then you're a moron. And they should charge you for oxygen. What I'm trying to say, let me speak for myself here in general. When I say support the dev, 100% Retro, just because you went out there and spent $70 million on the game, if your game is shit, I'm not apt to buy your game. 100%. But if I enjoy what you do as a studio, if I respect your work, if I respect your dev, I like your game, maybe I want to give you money for the game. When you said when they wait for sales, when you wait, I'm not trying to defend any of that or damage control any of that. When you buy a used game from GameStop, yes, you cut the developer out 100%. When you buy a game that's on sale from, let's say, the PSN, Xbox Live Store, or even one that was 60 and now is 30 at your local mom and pop shop, and it's retail, the developer still gets some of that money. So you're still supporting. I'm not saying sit here and jerk them off to they, you know what I'm saying? To they deserve to get their money no matter what. But if you don't give them the revenue for which the product they gave you to begin with, they're no longer going to be able to provide you with more product.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I need to ask this question. Yes. And because I'm Australian, I'm going to insert the word fuck, right? But how the fuck do you or anyone knows? I can say it because I'm Australian. It sounds funny when we say it, right? Americans apparently think
I would prefer you said cunt, because isn't that cunt? Is that New Zealanders?
Oh, okay, all right, cunt. Yeah, but you can't say how do you cunt? Like it doesn't work, man. Okay, all right. How about this? How about you, you fucking cunt? Right.
Let's go.
How do you or anyone else know that this money is actually being reinvested? We don't have, and I hate to use this meme, but we don't have the receipts, right? We don't have shit. We have conjecture here. Right, we're just assuming that, oh well, you know, obviously we've gotten this stuff, but gaming has survived longer away from charging for things like online than it has.
I'm not talking about online. I'm talking about the direct purchase of the medium, the direct purchase of the sale. So the reason I can assume, real quick, John, let me finish. The reason I can assume, I hate that word, or draw to some kind of conclusion that if I buy the game, the developer might get some money to get another game out, or if I buy the game that way, is because look at these studios who've closed over the last couple of years, whose games didn't sell worth shit.
That have a quality fucking work behind them too, like good.
Exactly, but their games did not sell. They closed. Like they closed for a reason.
Who? Like just examples.
Atari's not here anymore.
No, there was a couple of
new devs.
Drive Club's dev is no longer. They're no longer doing their thing like that. Did Ready at Dawn go back and like close their studios and go open up another smaller PC studio? Even BioShock's dude, the Ken Levine dude, closed his studio down and took only like 5. This was years ago.
THQ had to sell off a bunch of their.
There's a long list of developers who've had to close because they didn't get their games didn't sell. And you're right. It's nobody's fault. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm gonna
No, that's all right. I go.
It's not my fault that they overshot their budget, right? But what I'm trying to say, if that's the case, then you know what? That's poor mismanagement. What I'm trying to say is there's this little upstart studio. They make a good product and they put it out, and you find a way to circumvent to get the game a little bit cheaper, or however you go about getting that's on any platform. You understand? Consumerism, yes, I'm all for consumerism. I give you money, you give me a product, the product should work. I've talked about I returned Resident Evil 7 because I wanted to stream it in VR, and I downloaded it off of PSN, and it wouldn't let me stream that night because Capcom didn't flip the switch. And when I called Sony the next day, they tried to give me the runaround. I said, listen, I gave you money for a fully functioning product. It wasn't fully functioning when I wanted to use it. You have to give me a refund. And I got my refund. I'm all about consumerism. But you also have to, you have to look out for yourself. But how far do you look out for yourself in the detriment of everything else around you?
Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure that charging an online fee means that money actually goes to the developer? So you're saying if you're charging $70 a year, like it's $70 or something in Australia for fucking like PlayStation Plus, right? We're getting so ripped off, like seriously. But
dude, the Switch prices out there are crazy.
Yeah, I know. I think I'll just roll a truck. Fuck it. I don't care. But the thing is, though, that so let me get this right. You're saying that online fee, which is mandated by Sony, are you saying that every single developer that has a game on, say, PS4 that has an online feature, they're getting money out of that $70 that you pay? And are you absolutely sure? Because if you've got 1,000 games that have 1,000, like every single game, right, has like an online feature, that $70 divided into 1,000. Like
I'm not saying that. No, I think you're talking about the PS Plus games.
Yeah, the games that they give away every month, every download that gets downloaded, the developers get some payment for that, and it's actually agreed on before the game actually goes out there. So Rocket League, for instance, that didn't know what their game was going to do, they said that was the best way for them to release it because everyone just downloaded it and they got paid. It didn't, you know what I'm saying?
But what about the shitheel games that no one gives a crap about?
Those aren't on PS Plus.
Why not? Why not?
He made that. I'm assuming, Dredd, and don't let me talk for you if you want to clear this up yourself. But he was talking about the way that the games are given away on PS Plus. He wasn't talking about that Sony turns around and gives everybody a piece of the fee. It's PS Plus games.
But that's my point. Is that how come one developer gets favoritism and another doesn't?
How is it favoritism though?
No, it's just a contract. That's just a legal contract that they go through.
So and that's the problem because you got as a gamer you don't get to choose, right?
Yeah. What I will say,
you can choose not to download it or not.
Yeah, what I will say is that Sony did implement a kind of voting system at one point, which I think should come back because then people were able to vote on what they wanted next. And that only happened like twice and they cut that out. That I think is bullshit. That I do think needs to come back because then it gives customers more choice on what they're going to be getting every month. But once again, even if you just break it down to the like just basics, you're paying $50 and getting more than $1,000 worth of games.
In that regard, see, but also I think what you're I don't think this is what you're not understanding, sir. If I may, for 2 seconds, we're not defending the practice.
Fuck, I feel old now.
We're not defending. I'm just polite that way until I don't have to be, and then all kinds of other shit start coming out. But let me digress. We're not defending the practice of actually charging online. I'm not anyway. And I don't think that's the message that my brethren over here is trying to get across. What I am trying to say, and I think what he is trying to say, is that there are some merits to it, that it's not all evil. And so if you take in the case the Rocket League developers who didn't know where their game was going to go, the best thing for them was that they put their game on PS Plus, which Sony offers as a part of their online service. And that led to them being successful with that game.
Is it on PS Plus every month though?
No, but if you downloaded it once, it's yours however long you want it. And now, because it was so successful on PS Plus, they've come out. They've said this themselves. You can do the research. They've made money that they never thought they would have ever made retail because of it being on PS Plus and blowing up so big on PS Plus, and then the crossplay with PC. By the time it finally got to Xbox, it wasn't even a thought for the majority of the people who bought it over there. They just gave their $20. But I'll submit that if it was a chance, had that not transpired, had they not had that that avenue to get into people's TVs and machines for free, they would not have maybe been so successful. Like that's what you're saying.
That's true, because they did come out with a game previously to that. Like Rocket League isn't their first rocket type, car game. Like they've come out with the game before and it flopped. So now through PlayStation Plus, it became this big. And I'm not saying PlayStation Plus was like the reason why it became successful, but like they said that was the best way that they could possibly done it. Another one of the things that I wanted to address, I guess, is like when like you had talked about the whole AAA thing and like how console guys like AAA, and that goes to show you once again how it's a whole different dynamic. It's a whole different group of people that are on console. They like AAA experiences. So I don't get the whole beating down AAA experiences, and I think one of the reasons is because like PC just doesn't get them that much. You don't get these big AAA experiences outside of like third party stuff that's everywhere majority of the time. You guys don't get that many AAA crazy, like we don't get that many of them, like and then when they are coming out though, they are highly talked about. Like you look at Starship Citizen, which has millions and millions, and they're still asking more to produce that game, and the community is actually liking that game, right? They're actually looking forward to that game. So I don't get the whole beating up the whole AAA thing. AAA is what pushes your hardware. When Crysis came out and that was pushing hardware, it gave PC players at that point a reason to upgrade. So I don't understand the whole, and it might be just because like I said, there's not that many AAA. AAA is not the highlight of PC gaming. You look at the top games and they're League of Legends, Dota. They're not these games that are really that big. And so I don't.
Those games are big though. Those games are like the biggest games in the world.
No, he's saying big as in resource wise, development wise, how much it takes to like, you know what I mean?
You know what though? You know what happens at the same time is like, and you guys, I'm sure you already know this. Let's not try and pretend that a good chunk of the console community doesn't downplay PC exclusives, regardless of AAA or not. They pretend like they're not games. They'll say a lot of those look like 8-bit or 16-bit games. You guys only have RTS. You only have strategy.
I don't think the Sony guys could say that shit anymore, bro, because they got indies spoon-fed to them. The whole beginning part of the generation, it was tons and tons.
Yeah, 2014. If it wasn't an indie, you weren't playing nothing.
But see, it's changed a little bit now. The tune has changed because there's more exclusives coming out.
Because people forget. A lot of those are AAA. There's always, not to cut you off, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So just forgive me. There's always a revisionist history. You know this. Like people will always look back and change the narrative to the one that fits their point of view. You can't get these people to remember that Resogun at one point was the best looking game on the PS4 until recently. They'll deny it till they're blue in the face. You know what I mean? Or that the majority of the games that carried you through 2013 through 2014 were free to plays and indie titles. They won't admit that, but those are for the uninitiated. That's not who's talking right now. We truly are initiated, and so we know we look at things a little bit different.
Yeah, we look at
when it comes to
the
things.
broader picture for sure. Because even the whole used game thing. It's like, yeah, used games are horrible, but they like we also know that used games are also used to fund new games. So you can't just look
Wait a
at it
minute.
from one direction.
Wait, I got it. Used games are used to fund the new games.
And like a new purchase, like a lot of
Or
people I
when
know.
we trade in games, or
Yeah,
when
you trade
someone.
in the game, and then that gives you. So you're still that could still be circulated. That could still be put back into gaming in some way.
My only issue with used games is the dev doesn't see any part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
always said this, and I agreed with those back in the day that said it. Used games is the same as piracy because the end result is the same. The end result is the same. The developer does
Actually,
not see that money.
If you strip it away and look at it, you kind of can say that.
Yeah,
But see,
absolutely.
but that's what. All right. So piracy, you take the game, they don't see anything from it. No developer sees anything from it, right? As a consumer, I could go into GameStop and be like, "Damn, I have these old games and I want to get that new game." So I could trade in those older games to purchase a newer game. So devs, even though it's not the devs that I went in there with, the devs can actually see some portion of that money like recirculated to buy a new game. You can't do that with piracy. It's
I
just
see your point of view too.
Yeah, but
they're
at
not
the same time, you could also argue that some of those people that are stealing the game are looking for a demo because the game doesn't have a demo, or an extended demo because the demo on Steam or Origin fucking sucks. So they're looking to get a better feel of the game before purchasing. I'm not saying that there's a lot of people are doing that.
Yeah.
I'm saying the majority that are stealing to steal. I'm not denying that, but
the thing
it goes
about
both
it,
ways.
yeah, the thing about it is like I think Mike Patcher, which isn't the best example of who to go to, but like he's already gone over this and broken it down from a mathematic point where he's like, dude, the used game market really doesn't hurt that much. Like, and he goes into the whole thing about how used games can also fuel new purchases, and that's a thing. Like he's like, honestly, they probably lose like a little bit over like five, or it's not as big, and that's on paper. With the whole piracy thing, we could just say, hey, they're using it as a demo, but we have no idea. There's nothing on paper to back that up.
Yeah, but you know, Michael Patcher is the equivalent of me putting my penis under the toilet lid and slamming it down really hard.
He kind of is.
I mean,
he's
But
right
twice
every 10
did
years.
say, but that's why I said mathematically he broke it down. So then it's not just him being like, oh, well, the Switch is going to be a failure or a success, and that's what I think. Like, he mathematically broke it down. There's an article with it. I forgot.
Yo, my guy, adjust your mic.
Yeah. He mathematically broke it down, so it's not just his theory or his opinion about it. Like,
yeah, you can't argue numbers at the end of the day. So, I mean, this kind of turned into what it can be perceived to be like a PC console thing, and it really isn't, because every point that y'all make has merit. Like, I can see the points that are being made, and the thing is you have to, what we want, or what we should all want as a community, is the best thing for every consumer involved. And sometimes the way to get there is not always the first option that you see in front of you.
I'm going to win this argument right now.
I didn't know we were having an argument. You can't include me in a thing. I didn't know we were going, because I would have went harder.
Well, I was going to say orgy, but you know, I mean, it's probably not appropriate. Okay, all right. Let me ask you a question. All right, no bullshit. Okay. If these companies came out and said, we're not going to charge online anymore, are you seriously going to sit there and go, well, no, I don't think that's right. I think we should keep paying?
I've already conceded.
No.
I've already conceded to you earlier, like maybe 20 minutes ago, that we're not defending the price of the charging for online. What we are saying is that there are some good merits, or what I am saying. I'm not going to talk for my friend over here. But what I am saying is that there are some positives that come from it.
And also how they go about it, though, because like I said, Steam actually has it in a way that because remember, everyone says Steam is free. Steam is not free. They give you the service for free, but it costs them. And the way how they have it set up, where they're getting more money per game sold, they could probably go, you know what, we'll take a hit on that end. Because you got to look at bigger things or bigger pictures and services, dude. They have tons of our information. You remember what happened to Sony with the PS3? How did they get hacked so easily? It's because they're spending mad money on a fucking service with people's information. And you look at how much money they put into security. It's over like $10 million, $15 million just in securing the service alone.
Yeah, but I don't pay the bank to keep my shit safe.
Actually, you don't pay banking charges at the end of the month.
If I put, as an example, if I never used the bank, but I still had my account there, if I had $0 in there or whatnot, it is still their responsibility to make sure, because that's what they decided to do. They decided to run a business and make sure that their clients are kept protected. So even if I never use their service anymore, but I still have an open account, I don't get charged for that. At least not in this country.
You would probably wind up with a negative. You would probably wind up with a negative bank fee.
And this is crazy because like Little Boosie the other day, who's a rapper over here, he recently got his money taken out. It was like over like $500,000, and the actual bank was like, we can only cover like 250,000. And there was nothing. They were just like, yo, that's all we could cover. Like, it's not.
There's an insurance point and everything. But I get what he's saying. If you want to be in the business, you have to be able to accrue all costs and everything associated with the business, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing: businesses make money and put money back into the business. That's how it works. Now, it's not. It doesn't behoove. People can always not buy it. You understand? Like, I agree with you. I agree with you a lot, Retro. Like, whether you see it or not, I don't disagree with you. But the thing is this, it's their option. And this is what they do, and this is how they know. It's never going to affect you as a PC gamer now. Because and you know how you know that's never going to happen? Because Microsoft, when they put their games, they knew better not to even attempt to try to charge for online service. Like, that wasn't even a thought that they had. And so hopefully, you're right. Hopefully Microsoft will go, hey, you know what? In the interest of pro-consumerism, but it's not in the interest of pro-consumerism. It would be in the interest of making themselves look good and being a more viable platform. We're not no longer going to charge you for online.
Yeah, but they'll never do it, dude. They'll never do it.
Because that's like 270, however million. I don't got a calculator right now, but it's money.
That's what's keeping the lights on, probably right now. It's Xbox Live, yo. Like,
well, now they got the Game Pass, yo, $9.99 for.
There you go.
The fuck out of here! All this fucking services.
Yo, this topic gets so serious that like it's taken up about all the time that I have. So we are gonna have to end it on this topic and this topic only, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think it's a good topic though, man. You know what I'm saying? I think it's there's a lot of different ways to look at things. That's what I'm just saying at the end of the day. It's not just black and white. There are gray areas. There are other ways to look at it. And looking out for yourself is great. You know what I'm saying? Looking out for yourself is great. The companies are there. You support who you want to support, you know? And I just think there needs to be more. There needs to be an option. Like, there needs to be PC gaming. There needs to be console gaming, even handheld gaming. It's just
everything but mobile. Fuck mobile.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It all needs to be there because, like, and that's another thing too. Like, God forbid, like, let's say consoles eat dirt, yo. You know, AMD is probably gonna go next because how much money do they make off of making CPUs for a freaking console? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just it's all an ecosystem, which is a weird word, but like, it's all one ecosystem. It all works, and it's like we should all just be able to accept both of them, you know?
We should just all get along.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. All right, but we are gonna close this out. The Divide episode 4. It's been fun. It's been great. This was a great podcast. It's just I was hoping to get to more topics, but like I said, like this one in particular is very serious. It's very interesting. There's a lot of different avenues you can attack it from, but yeah, man. Anything else you guys want to say in closing?
It was a great experience. Look forward to doing it again next week.
Thanks for the invite, man.
Anytime. I can say that because I'm a co-host.
Retro, anything at all you got to say?
Well, it's very good to meet the new boys in the room. I've never seen you guys before, so thank you very much. You know, I'll be playing with my Mr. Miyagi later, Ralph. I mean, Joey.
Oh my
No, it
God!
was good. What are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. No, I like to fucking discuss gaming. I think it's cool. You know, I think it's awesome. You know, so and it's always good meeting new people. Although I've probably seen you guys around anyway. So, but I'll have to get your YouTube channels if you guys are doing YouTube channels. So
Yeah, mine's is
I like-
just simply Joey Luciano. I'll put it right here real quick.
Yeah.
So
What
I
about you, Drake?
appreciate
You
it.
got one, man?
No, I just do gameplay stuff. I don't really have a whole channel thing, but I've been on YouTube for a long time now, man. We've definitely ran into each other probably once or
Yeah.
twice before. For sure.
All right. So for the audience, we appreciate it, and we will see you guys next week. You guys take care. Have a good one. Peace.